This next step in our journey is a little awkward in the sense that I'm going to be dealing with some sensitive information, including login accounts, username, passwords, and so forth. And so to protect the innocent, I photoshopped some fake account numbers. Also, what makes this a little difficult is that in each hosting service, you're going to find some different information that's going to be passed. But in basically speaking, though, overall, you're going to be dealing with the same type of information one way or another. Um, so what I want to start off with here first is setting up a domain name. We're using GoDaddy here, and both setting up the hosting and the domain is a very, very simple process. And the process that I'm doing here is I'm setting up a domain with GoDaddy, and then I'm setting up a separate hosting account with another third party. In my case, I'm using HostTech. So first thing you want to do is go here on the GoDaddy page, which is very, very intuitive. And that is you want to just type in the domain name that you want. I'm going to type in Design Colorado Springs because that's some pretty good SEO right there. By default, by the way, you're going to see .com. .com is the most expensive and it's the most popular extension. So if you want to save some money, you might want to consider one of these other extensions, and each year this goes longer and longer and longer. I'm going to do .us. That seems to be fairly popular too. Again, according to what extension you create is going to depend upon how much you're going to end up paying per year. So, GoDaddy's going to want to sell you a bunch of stuff, so be careful, read carefully each step. As you can see, designcoloradosprings.us is available. So I'm going to go ahead and add this. They are going to want to try to sell you similar URLs with a different extension. And the reason why you would want to do this perhaps is so that you catch this whole URL, which is a pretty good one for Colorado Springs. If you want that, I might just take it myself. Who knows? But they're going to want to sell you a package so nobody else can grab that. I'm not going to take that. I'm just going to take the regular one. So I'm going to click Add. Then once I finish that, I'm going to go ahead and continue to checkout. Again, they're going to try to sell you with stuff. Some of these are useful, but this is not a business, and this is just a starter site, so I'm not going to take any of the extras here. Not going to mess with this either. They're going to try to sell you web hosting. Okay, so here I go, domain information, all that stuff, and I'm going to go ahead and pass on this. So I think this is about as far as I can go at this point, because I'm certainly not going to want to buy this domain. But what you're going to do next is you're going to go to your hosting account. This is, oh, and again, just one last note, don't buy into all the extras that they want to do. Just be very careful. You know, you want to fill all this information out and everything, but just buy the basic, you know, the basic domain, no extra stuff. I'm going to jump over to HostTech. This is the one that I'm using for this demonstration. HostTech is very, I've had a lot of good experience with them. They've got great customer service. Of course, one of the things I really like about them is their Cold Fusion support, because I still like to play with Cold Fusion. Now, I do have Cold Fusion hosting, but it also supports PHP. So in this particular case, you can try the Linux if you want to, or you can go with Bluehost. I'm going to do Cold Fusion. So I'm clicking the Cold Fusion button here. And as you can see, you have different amounts. Most of it is based on how much, you know, storage capacity that you have here. they call it cloud disk space. So your starter kit is 1,000 megabytes, 1 gigabyte, which is kind of, I found it not to be enough for my purposes, but for most starter websites, that's going to be more than enough. This is great traffic bandwidth. This is new. They have it unlimited even on the lower scale here. That means people coming to your website, people going. Your databases, they have different kinds of database the services, MySQL 5, MySQL 2012. They also just have MySQL, so that's all good. This is the best thing, monthly billing, $5 a month. So I'm just going to click the Get Started on that. I'm going to go ahead and type in, remember I've already bought this domain, but here's the thing that you want to be careful about. There are 3 choices here. I want HostTech to register a new domain for me. Well, I've already registered my domain, so we don't want that one. I want to transfer my domain registration to HostTech. We don't want that one either. I will update my name servers. This is the one that we want, because this is how we're going to get the domain from GoDaddy to hook up with the hosting account here. So again, I'm going to type in the name. Sorry, this is actually one that already exists, this design COLOSPRGS one. And I had a .us on there, and I'm going to click to continue. So as you can see, monthly billing. This is as far as I can pretty much go, is the checkout here, where you basically, like any other e-commerce site, you're going to fill in all your information and so forth, Visa and everything. Once you complete the order, you will now have a hosting account and you will have a domain. I'm going to collapse this over here because the next thing you're going to find is you're going to get some emails. I took some screenshots of the emails. I don't know if they look like this anymore. These were some old ones. I've switched out the numbers in Photoshop, so these are fake account numbers. You want to make sure that you record these numbers. Now, what I recommend is you get a text file and you catalog your customer number, your login name. I would just copy and paste all of this onto the text file. You're also going to get an email from HostTech, or whatever hosting account you use, and you're going to get something like this. Now, I got a temporary URL. That's this right here. The temporary URL is going to be where you can design your website. It's not going to be for public view. Obviously, that's going to be a pretty hard URL to remember. Once you have transferred your name servers over, and I'll get to that in just a second, then this will update to the URL that you actually are using, your domain. You're going to get a username and you're going to get a password. And you're going to use this, your control panel right here. Again, this is temporary, so that's going to change as well. Your control panel is where you're going to go to update your databases and so forth. But you're going to need all of this information here. HostTech also provides you with FTP information. This is the kind of stuff you're going to use for Dreamweaver to connect to your local server with your FTP client. And then the last thing, I'm just going to see if I can pull this into view here. The last thing down at the bottom are your name servers. So you want to get this information too. So all of this information you want to make sure you copy on a text file. Okay, so now that you've got this information, you're going to go back to the web pages. I'm going to go back to GoDaddy, for instance. And then I'm just going to go back to the home page here. I'm going to log into my account, which is up here. And I'm going to take my user number and password. I'm going to pause here for just a second. Okay, so I'm logged in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to All Products. By the way, it almost looks like exactly the same. So just be aware of that, but you can see I am logged in up here. So all products, domains. I'm just going to come all the way over here. This is a little not easy to work with. Sometimes it disappears a lot. I'm going to go to last link domain management. GoDaddy trying to sell you stuff again. Okay, as you can see, I've got more than one. So I'm going to go ahead and click this particular one right here. And here are my name servers. So the thing is that you're going to see something different here. To connect to your HostTech account, you're going to take those name servers that we got from the email before, and I'm going to click Manage. And you're going to get this little interface right here, and over off to the right here, you're going to click Edit Name Servers. And then basically, as you can guess, you just copy and paste the name servers into these. You notice that I had more than two. Actually, that's because that was an older email. But if you have more than two name servers, you just click Add a Name Server and then paste that in. Once you've finished, you close this out. And it can take up to 24 hours to propagate. But once it propagates, then you can then type in your domain, and then your HostTech account website will show up. Now, I'm going to pop on over to the what we call the Cpanel in HostTech. I also want to remind you that all of these things can change. This is different than when I originally got into this hosting account, because they changed providers and servers and so forth. So you do have to be prepared for that. And if you're using Bluehost instead of HostTech, the experience might be a little different. Anyway, I'm going to use the login information that HostTech provided me. I'm just going to pause again. So that now that I'm logged in, this is what we call the Cpanel, the control panel. And a lot of the control panels are pretty much the same. Some look a little bit more intimidating than others. This one's actually really nice. I like this Cpanel. You can click over to FTP accounts. Sometimes, for instance, some of the hosting companies do not provide you with FTP. So what you would have to do, now usually they're going to give you a starter FTP regardless. That's a username, a host name, and a password which isn't seen here. If you don't get a FTP information, you can add one here. Then you would create your username, your password. Your folders is basically the folders that you have. You're going to get a lot of extra stuff sometimes with hosting accounts, so you're going to look for something like www.root or public, and then you're going to click that one. If I said folder www.root, then that would be past this would then be the public website. I usually like to go to the root, which is basically this part right here, but these files right here, these folders, are not seen publicly. Only the files in www.root are the ones that are seen publicly. I'm not going to change that. So you're going to get a username. You have to record the password. So again, if you don't get an FTP information when you get your hosting account, you're going to have to get it from this area right here. Okay, the other thing that you're going to want to do is create a database. So that would be MySQL is where you want to start with. As you can see, I've already got 3 databases here. If I wanted to add a database, now with a database you have a database and a user. And both of these are important. Now generally speaking, because I'm only the one accessing my database, I only have my one user. And that's going to be my username, and it's going to be a password. But if you need to add a user, you would just go ahead and fill out these fields, and then you would also check which databases this user will have access to. To add a database, then I would click Add Database. There you create your database name, username, and password. Now one thing I really like about HostTech is that it provides your server as well.